Flinch is the signal. You know, the one, that tiny internal reaction when someone asks you innocently, why do you do it that way? I've been onboarding a new VA this week and I noticed something. Every time she asked, why do you do it that way? Or some variation, right? Inquisitively trying to understand the way I do things. I flinched almost every time. Not outwardly, right? But internally, I was like, oof. And again, it's not because she was wrong to ask those questions. I'm glad she did. It shows that she's engaged and wants to learn about my business. And it's not because she was attacking anything, but because she was asking simple questions about the way I've always done it. Uh, And when someone shines a flashlight on something that you basically just kind of carry around in your head, it can definitely feel a little bit exposing. I felt definitely a little bit defensive, certainly uncomfortable in many ways. Um, but I gotta say that I think that I've always done it that way. Is probably worse than I don't know. I kind of wish I could have said I don't know more to some degree, because then I would have had an excuse for why I was doing it the way that I was. But at least when you say I don't know, you're aware, right? You're unconsciously, or excuse me, you're consciously incompetent, right? You go from unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent. You know that you don't know, and awareness precedes action. And I guess that can be true when you're looking at how you've always done it as well, right? Because now that I'm aware that the way that I've always done it may not be um, optimal, um, I can say that I've always done it that way usually means that you solved a problem at least once, and it worked for you at the time. And so, if it worked for you multiple times, you probably just moved on, and that's not laziness. That's just momentum. Um, but that flinch is like the dashboard light coming on in your car, right? The check engine light that says, "Hey, this thing it needs some attention." So I ask you, where do you flinch, right? Is it when someone asks you your pricing, or in your follow up? Maybe somebody asks you about your count. Maybe somebody asks you about your health or your mental well being, right? Do you flinch a little bit? Do you have a little bit of internal resistance to the thing? I think it's important to recognize that flinch and that feeling that we get, not as an attack, right? It's data, because we all kind of hide our messes. I think we all know that we choose what the world gets to see, and we all certainly have areas that we haven't looked at closely enough, or in a very long time, because something was working for us, right? It's not because we were incapable or because we don't care. Um, just life happens. And growth is uncomfortable, but it should be clarifying, right? If you're really growing, it is clarifying. So if something makes you flinch this week, right? Maybe somebody asks you a question, somebody gives you some feedback that is contradictory to what you want to hear. You have that moment where you feel exposed a little bit. I encourage you not to defend it. Rather, take the time to investigate it, because that discomfort or that resistance that you feel, that's probably the path, right? That might be where the next level lives. So, yeah, that's your mustache moment. Hope you enjoy the day. Have a great weekend ahead. I'll see you next week.